Hey everyone, welcome to the Weeb Lounge. And this anime it's really underrated. It really is. It is Didn't I Say to Make My Abilities Average in the Next Life. Essentially, it's an isekai anime with a girl that made a noble sacrifice to save someone else's life. She gave up her own, she got hit by a truck basically. And when talking to God, he was like, hey, we'll reincarnate you, we'll put you in the other world, and you can be whatever you want to be. Alright, now, when you're talking to God, and you're telling him what kind of abilities you want, what kind of life you want to lead, be specific. If you ever find yourself in that situation, be specific. She wanted to basically come into this new life as an average human. In the previous one, she's like this 18-year-old genius who's isolated and no friends, no nothing, becomes engrossed in anime and otaku culture, like some people. And yeah, she wanted a more normal, mundane life with friends and family and such and such. Well, when you tell God you want average abilities, you probably should include the phrase human in there somewhere. Because God looks at everything. He sees everything. And he's like, okay, well, the lowest of nothing is like some insect, bacteria, something, no power. And the highest of highs is the great elder dragon of doom. So what does he do? Well, the average is half of the elder dragon's power. Okay, she's OP as hell. It's another isekai anime, main character, overpowered all to hell, but didn't want to. She had the choice. She chose wrong, and she ends up being OP. Okay. Now, her name is Mile, but her real name is Adele van Astrum. She's basically born into like nobility or royalty or whatever, but she kind of wants to get away from that because she wants that average life. She doesn't want all this crazy stuff going on all over the place. She wants an average, normal life, so she kind of gets out of there and goes to like this hunter's school, right? It's kind of like a magician's academy, hunter's academy. It's kind of a mix of all that stuff, right? She goes there and she ends up meeting 3 different people who end up becoming very good friends and forming a group later on called the Crimson Vow that basically takes odd jobs and everything, gets paid, and they start to become famous. I kind of skipped ahead a little there, but it's more to the point. So Mile, she is an incredibly friendly, fun-loving person. She has all of her memories from the other world. They all came with her. Not immediately though. Like when she was born, she was born into the world. She wasn't just like, oh, here you are. Okay, she was born into the world, and it wasn't until a little later when her memories finally came back and hit her. So I kind of like that little bit of a twist on the isekai. You got to keep the isekai reasons fresh. I mentioned that in some previous videos. But basically she's trying to hide her abilities. She wants everyone to see her as average. She doesn't want to, cast the nuclear ball explosion death of doom thing. She doesn't want to do anything. So she hides it from everybody and ends up becoming friends with a few different people. 3 to be exact. Pauline. Pauline is probably the scariest. She comes off as the sweet, caring, loving. It's almost kind of like a healer type character. She's a really good merchant as well. Like when it comes to business sense, she's like top notch. She comes from a family of merchants. But she's kind of like the healer class, a little bit more passive, but even though she comes off as really cute, really bubbly, really fun, don't make her mad. You make her mad. She's the kind of person where if you make them mad, you go the other way. You are scared. You run for your life. Her anger is not to be messed with. When she's happy, everything's gravy. When she's mad, leave. Just go. All right, next up we got Reina. Reina, this one's almost stereotypical, okay? A Reina is magic user, kind of like, a fire user. And of course she has red hair. If you use magic and it's fire-based, gotta have red hair. I mean, Shakugan no Shana. Fire sword thing, red-eye demon, red hair. It's a thing. You gotta have red hair if you deal with fire. I mean, it's like the red hair negates getting yourself burned. I think that's actually the trick. If you're a fire magic user, you gotta have red hair. Otherwise, you get burnt. You burn yourself. So, Reina comes across as kind of stubborn, a little competitive, hard-headed. You know, that kind of anime character. You know, the fiery redhead. I mean, it's an anime trope. I mean, it's a trope in real life, actually, if you think about it. But you know, she just wants to use fire and everything. But she does learn other spells thanks to, you know, Mile, who is adept at everything. And Reina she's just really, really outgoing. She wants to beat up everything, and you know, she kind of has a little bit of a tragic past that's kind of motivating her, right? And you know, I don't want to go into too much about that. I'll let you guys figure that out and, you know, see it for yourselves. But she has a tragic past that kind of motivates her to do what she does. Oh boy. Third character, Mavis Van Osteen, or just Maeve. She's the blonde, short blonde-haired girl, always has the armor. She's basically a knight, okay? And of course she uses magic to enhance attacks and all, you know, all that stuff and everything. But she comes from like really, really upper class. Really upper class. But you wouldn't know because she's, you know, it's the typical thing where like somebody is like way high up there, right? And just kind of rebels against their parents, wants to do what they want to do, wants to do whatever their passion is, and she wants to be a swordsman, knight, whatever the heck it is. So she kind of tells her parents off, I guess. Her parents finally basically reluctantly give her permission to go do what she's doing, and she goes and does what she does, and thanks to Mile helping her train and teaching her some things and a little magic here and there, she ends up being like deadly as hell. I mean, she's really good at what she does. But essentially, those are the four main characters, and they all form the Crimson Vow. The Crimson Vow, it's kind of like its own little standalone guild. They just take odd jobs. They'll go do this, that, and the other. And, you know, it's only, not until about halfway through the series or so when you figure that out. But Mile, she is so incredibly overpowered that there's not a situation that she comes across that she can't handle. You know, they get ambushed basically by some thugs and like this little sorcerer lady trying to just, you know, beat them up, take their money, kidnap them, whatever it is that their goal was. I don't even remember what the goal was, but Mile was just like, no, I'll cast this little dinky fireball. And that little dinky fireball is basically a nuclear nugget coming your way. You know, it's they're gone, they win, everything's fine. And these little situations like that keep happening over and over. But, you know, there's one thing about this whole series that I actually really like. It's a little bit of a twist on the isekai anime, and it adds more flavor to the world and the lore. And that is, there's no magic. None. Now, I just said she's casting fireballs, the other girl's a healer. The one girl, she specializes in nothing but fire magic and learns to cast ice spells, but there's no magic. How can that be? I love this explanation. Nanomachines. Okay, that sounds kind of like weird, right? Well, early in the series, you see Mile talking to like this floaty thing. Just it's kind of there, right? Turns out it's basically nanomachines with a conscience, okay? And only Mile can see it. They're not supposed to be visible. Mile, for whatever reason, likely God, reincarnation, blah, 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 can see them just fine. And what these nanomachines are is remnants from a previous civilization that lived in this world. They were incredibly technologically advanced. They created these nanomachines. They created things out in space and for space travel. They did a ridiculous amount of stuff, but eventually nobody really knows what happens to them. It seems like they either went extinct or they abandoned the planet. They might have just gone into space and go, because the level of technology they had, no question that they had spacefaring technology. So, but what's left are these nanomachines in the entire environment all over the place. And they're able to kind of manipulate things to make it look like you're casting a fireball. You know, it's hot. You know, it's not an illusion or anything. It's an actual fireball when you cast it. But yeah, it's a really cool explanation of how they do it. So all these people who are learning how to control magic, learning new spells, stuff like that, what they're actually doing is learning to become a little bit more in depth and feeling with these nanomachines. The nanomachines respond in kind and start to produce a fireball. or a healing spell, or an icicle from the sky, or make the ground move a little bit. You know, that's what the nanomachines are there for. There's no real reason why they're doing this, except for the civilization previously. It's a little bit of hypothetical, but they're thinking that these nanomachines were there more for like an entertainment purpose, right? Where it could create this kind of world, a little fantasy realm, and cast magic at each other without actually causing harm, right? Or some kind of, like a virtual reality game. You know, Sword Art Online, and get sucked into it like big time, not just a headset or anything. Like, you're there, the nanomachines take care of it. Play Mortal Kombat, do all the fatality without actually killing somebody, you know what I mean? But, you know, that's kind of the nature of this whole anime. You know, you have the OP character, Mile, who is cute, funny. It's my favorite character of the series. You know, I always say the tomboy characters are usually my favorite, but Mile this time around is definitely my favorite character. Cute, powerful, strong willpower, smart, you name it. This character carries the whole series. And that's not to say that the other characters aren't developed or anything. They all have their own little backstory. They all have some in-depth story plot telling with their character, along with Mile. And I really, really like it. And the fact that, you know, Mile in this world starts creating basically dendroids and hands them off to Pauline, and she like uses her merchant skills to sell figures of the Crimson Vow members. She's a genius when it comes to making money, basically. Put it that way. But anyways, like, subscribe, hit that notification button. This is an underrated anime. It is good. I highly recommend you go watch it, especially if you're into the isekai anime stuff. And with that, see you in the next video.